Welcome guys to John's Football Channel. This is your post review to Bayern Munich 1, PSG 1. The game has ended and it's unfortunate Bayern Munich came last in this game. They didn't manage to actually get the two goals that they needed in order to stay ahead, or even 3 goals to actually beat PSG on the night. Let's get into it. So if you take a look at the teams and the lineups, with who they were: Mendes as the left back, Paco and Marquinhos as the centre backs, and then Emery as their right. And then in midfield they went with Fabian, Rez, Vitinha and Neves in the midfield. And then up front they went with Kvaratskhelia, Dembele and Doué. And then if we look at Bayern Munich's team, they went Manuel Neuer in goal, Lamar as the right back, Upamecano and Tar as the centre backs, and Stalic as the left back. And then in the CDMs, they went with Kimmich and Pavlik as the CDMs, Olise, Musiala and Luis Diaz as the up front three, just behind Harry Kane. If we take a look at actually how they started, I think both teams, I think they went with like to like. Basically, they didn't make it overcomplicated. They didn't make it difficult to read the game and see how the game might go. I think in this game, starting off, if we take a look at the first goal, what actually happened, I think obviously, I don't know if it was a case of Bayern Munich thinking that there's an easy day at the office. I think they just thought, no, we don't have to work as hard as we might think we might because of the goals we were scoring in the last game. I think they had that thing of, oh no, goals will just come easily to us. I think that's how the team had the mentality. And I don't know if it has to be the case. It has to be the case of Vincent Kompany also having that mentality, because had he not had that mentality, he would have told them, hey guys, this is not the mentality to have. This is how we need to shape up. This is how we need to be. Could it be that it was a very quick turnaround? Could it be that they were focused, they were on point? It's just that as soon as the game was kicked off, they had that mentality, possibly. But I think if that was the case, I think as soon as the first goal would have went in, they would have tried to switch it on. But I think at that point, maybe the point was, maybe as soon as the goal went in, they knew they're 2 goals behind, they ain't gonna come back from this. Maybe that's how they saw it. But apparently, it just shows you cannot start the game with a bad mentality and a bad mindset in order to go into a game. Obviously, PSG had the upper advantage. They actually looked like they were very, very hungry for this game. Not to say that Bayern Munich wasn't, but I felt like Bayern Munich, they're more focused on themselves in this game. They're more focused to trying to think, okay, what can we do to hurt them? Whereas thinking, okay, what can PSG to hurt us? And let's try to make our game plan to accommodate both plays, to defend and to attack. But that was not the case. I think PSG obviously from the get-go were actually willing to hurt Bayern Munich, and Bayern Munich didn't have the answers to actually accommodate for that. And I think it was just poor defending from the first goal. The first goal comes in from a cross, and then I think also they were very exposed as in the defense. I think it was a case of Bayern Munich and Vincent Kompany shaping up the team to press. Yes, there's nothing wrong with pressing. Some teams are very good at pressing, but I think it's not if, but it's when. And I think that's the very big thing for some teams, and how you do it, especially when you know some players might and some teams might have an up advantage against you. It's not that when you press, it's just when, in terms of you can't all of a sudden just press for the sake of pressing. No, there's a right time for that. And I think Bayern Munich didn't have that, especially for the first goal. I think they were pressing too much, and I think they left themselves exposed because PSG were able to dribble through them, whether there was 1v a couple or passing through each other. I think that's what gave them the opportunity to score the first goal. And then there was the one of the wingers, Kvaratskhelia, was on the wing, and very poor defending from, I think, Stalic on the wing, on the right back. He could clearly have a look around him, and you would have clearly found Dembele around him. Why didn't he decide to mark him? That's a very, very big question. Very, very poor defending from him. I don't know what's it with defenders these days, that I can understand that you want to mark zonally, but at some point you need to actually look at who's actually around you and actually mark them. I mean, you're not going to get any benefit from marking air. you're going to have to mark the actual player and actually see, okay, who's around me, who's a threat. Let me be next to him as close as possible. Let me irritate him. And that was not the case. They gave him Dembele some space, and all he had to do is just do the follow through, and he put the ball back at the net. Manuel Neuer was not saving that because the power, the reaction time from the Manuel Neuer was obviously going to be very, very slow compared to the reaction of the ball going in the back of the net. And I think from that minute, obviously, it was a case of the morale probably dropped, I think, significantly. But I think Bayern Munich were able to probably have enough experience to not just show it as much as some other teams might. But I think definitely you could clearly see that the morale was down and they didn't have any other options to do. And I think it was a setup as to what happened the rest of the night. I mean, just some small results and some small loss, especially in the quick moments of a game, can actually impact you greatly going into the second half of the game and throughout the game as well. Then we look at in a couple of minutes in the half, not much happened apart from yellow cards, like sort of Jota, Mendes, and Kvaratskhelia getting yellow cards. And then we look in the second half. PSG did make some subs, but you would think also at the halftime you would actually consider Vincent Kompany to actually knowing we're 2-0 down. I need to make some changes, even though you don't make subs man v man, but at least try to make it tactically and try to change the formation and understanding. But I suppose we're asking all of these questions from Vincent Kompany, but I suppose at his young age of a career, in terms of being a coach, it's not that very easy to get all those questions answered all at one time. So I think this particular game for Vincent Kompany will definitely be a game that he remembers in a sense. I mean, you can clearly see how he was pacing around in the box the entire game. And I think it will be definitely a case of him learning from this game and actually knowing what could have done differently, and what should I've done. And I think also it was a case, I think I could actually blame Manuel Neuer and all the experienced players in this team, like a Harry Kane and Manuel Neuer. And I think most of us as neutral viewers and even supporters would have noticed that Bayern Munich were not going to score. From I could easily say minute one, they were looking for. You could clearly see they had no ideas as to how to score. So in a sense, they were looking for handballs. They were looking for fouls. Yes, the ref. You could say the ref. There's a case of the ref being one-sided, being biased to PSG, because most of the time when PSG got a foul, they gave it. But sometimes when Bayern Munich wanted a foul, they never got it. So it is a question of, was the referee biased in this game? Let me know down below what you guys think. Do you guys actually think that the ref was biased? Is there some decisions that you would have thought should have went Bayern Munich's way and didn't? I'd like to know what you guys' thoughts are on the handballs. Are some of the handballs supposed to be free kicks and penalties? Possibly. But I think those handballs were quite soft from me. I think, especially the one hitting the other. I think one of the defenders for PSG managed to kick the ball towards, I think it was Neves, and he ended up handballing it. I think, yes, in a sense that is handball, but it is your own player against your own player. So I think that's a question. I mean, is that actually handball if it's against your own man? Do you intentionally wish to actually hit your own player's hand, basically? And I don't think that is the case, and I don't think it would actually make sense for you to give a foul for that. And then we look around the 60th minute. Obviously, Bayern Munich started making subs. Jota was injured, so they ended up bringing on Min Kim, which is apparently a young, decent player. So it was good to see him as well. And then we also ended up seeing Davis come off for Static. But it just shows you, I mean, these subs were made at the 68th minute. I mean, 68 minutes is long overdue for subs. I mean, if you're not scoring in the first half, you are definitely not scoring in the second, especially if you're allowing substitutes to take so long to actually get commentized to the game. And then if we look at PSG, PSG made it around 10 minutes later. They're not making subs of their own. Then they're not bringing on Lucas Hernandez as a defender, and then Bernaldo was this Fabian Ruiz, which was a decent player as well tonight. And then we also end up seeing, which was okay, a shocker for Chelsea fans, to see Nicholas Jackson come on for Musiala. I actually thought, what was the point of Jackson coming on? But I don't know. I think he had one decent opportunity to actually help score the team, but it wasn't actually on target. I think it was a cross for Harry Kane or anything like that. But it just shows you, I mean, why would we? I suppose you can only try. You can only throw the kitchen sink at someone and see what sticks. Maybe that's what Vincent Kompany was thinking when he decided to play Nicholas Jackson. And then we end up seeing Upamecano come off for Carl at the 85th minute. And then we end up seeing for PSG, Mendes come off for Milulu. So it was not, I would say it was like for likes, not much of a difference. And I think hence why the game finished the way it finished. I mean, Harry Kane had one very, very good goal at the end with Davis actually giving a nice, I think it was a very good pass from him. I think everyone, that pass caught everyone on surprise because the way he played it, I mean, I think everyone thought Davis was going to play it on the wing, and he never did. He actually played it to Harry Kane. Harry Kane took, I think, 3 touches, and then putting it in the back of the net was very, very good, very quick, and very hard with a lot of power. So it was a very good game in terms of from PSG, the way they shaped up, the way they were able to actually annihilate Bayern Munich. I think Bayern Munich should have changed some certain things. I think Harry Kane and Manuel Neuer should have been one of the 2 main men that I look at in this team and said, hey, listen, boss, could we change this? What else could we do? Especially Manuel Neuer. I think Manuel Neuer has a lot of experience playing with a lot of other good players back in the day, especially being one of the very old players in the team. He should have had a lot of wisdom to actually give Vincent Kompany from a player's perspective in terms of in a game. But it now is another question: how many coaches would actually be willing to receive that, in a sense, criticism? Because now you're basically saying that they do not know how to coach a team and do not know how to become a manager and how to be a manager. I say that's the thing. But I think in today's day and age, we need to find some way of letting our egos go and actually playing the game for what it actually is. I mean, how stupid can we be as human beings to allow our ego to make sure that we do not get the very thing that the next person next to me wants? I mean, Vincent Kompany and Manuel Neuer both would want to win right now. But yet, because of our ego, or their ego for that matter, they actually probably wouldn't actually even think to actually discuss it among themselves and actually analyze and see what was the best for the team, considering that nothing was actually happening. Let me know down what you guys think. How did you see this game going? Do you see it the same way as I do? And then if we take a look, obviously Kvaratskhelia got the man of the match. I think he's very, very good, a very good player. A lot of hunger. You could clearly see in the second half there was a moment where I think the team ends up losing the ball. Bayern Munich on the counter attack, but Kvaratskhelia decides to run back and actually chase the ball back and ends up getting the ball back for the team. So it just shows you the hunger he had, and I think you could also see on the screen that where the substitutes were actually celebrating what Kvaratskhelia did. So it just shows you how together that the team were on the night. I think the one thing that Vincent Kompany could have done in this game, he could have definitely put between Olise or Luis Diaz in the midfield. I think they were the types of players that were actually trying to get forward, and I think on the wing they didn't have much of an option. I don't know if it was a case of them thinking to themselves that they're being two-dimensional or one-dimensional by going down the wing. But I think they also never did that a lot of in the game. They actually never took on them and said, okay, I'm gonna just go to the byline and put this ball in as a cross. They never actually did it. Their own mentality was to keep cutting in, and I think PSG knew that, and they could clearly see that was the case. And I think hence why they were very easily marked down and marked out of the game. There was moments in the midfield where Alize and Luis Diaz could have just ran at the opposition, and I think at those moments you could really see that something could have happened and could have created a chance to actually score because of them not being sure as to how to approach that certain situation. And I think because that situation was quite unique from the attacking phases that Bayern Munich had throughout the night, I think it was very unique compared to the others. And I think I would have liked Bayern Munich to have more crosses from the byline and actually take on the men a bit more, and actually have their midfielders actually drive with the ball a lot more than we saw in this game. And I think it would have definitely helped them to actually get the results that they wanted. Then if we take a look at some stats for this game, we could clearly see in the first half, Bayern Munich had most of the possession but did nothing with it, even though they were losing. Total shots, they only had one shot on target, whereas with 42% of possession, they end up also having having 3 shots on target. So it just shows you yet another example. Possession means nothing in football if you don't know how to use it wisely. And then touches in the opposition box, they were able to score with 8 touches. Can you believe 8 touches? Whereas Bayern Munich in the first half, they had 17, they had double, and then didn't do anything with that. And then big chances, both teams had 2-2 in terms of big chances. Big chances missed. Bayern Munich had 2, PSG had 1 chance missed. And then offsides were fairly the same, not much from the offsides, as well as corners. Corners, PSG had a bit more corners than Bayern Munich. Then if you take a look at the second half, obviously Bayern Munich knew they had to go for it. And I think at this stage, PSG said, no, we're not going to commit bodies forward. We're not going to overcommit. We know we're 2-0 down, 2-0 ahead. There's no pressure needed to overcomplicate everything. So I think hence why the position for PSG was so low. But yet, if you actually watch the game and if you remember the second half, it didn't actually feel like PSG had less possession all that much, 70% to 30%. I didn't feel that was the case, but yet it was. So yeah, it just shows you that sometimes if you use the ball wisely and actually able to actually use your mind as well as your hard work, sometimes, like they say, work smarter, not harder. And I think that's exactly what PSG did tonight. If you look at the touches in the box, Bayern Munich had 22. Yet again, PSG only had 9, and yet they were able to keep the scoreline up, and they were able to not concede. Then if you look at chances missed, Bayern Munich didn't miss any, whereas PSG did. And then if you take a look at fouls committed, PSG had 7, Bayern Munich had 5. Offsides was 0-0, and then corners, Bayern Munich ended up getting 1 corner, and then PSG ended up getting another 4 in the second half. Now, obviously, we know who is actually playing in the final. It's PSG versus Arsenal. I think most of us also would actually agree that it would be PSG going to take the win, because we know that what they're capable of on their night. And especially if they put one of their performances just like this, even how bad their game was in terms of they didn't really do much apart from that first goal. They didn't really do much to Bayern Munich. It was mainly Bayern Munich trying to score, but they couldn't because they will keep committing bodies forward, making life very, very easy for PSG to get through them. And I think it's just going to show you exactly how this game for Arsenal is going to be very tricky for them, as to how they're going to have to be very cautious as to when to press and when to not to commit. But yeah, guys, let me know down below what you guys think of this game. I think it was quite interesting to see that Bayern Munich was so lazy and so composed. I think they were too relaxed for my liking going into this game. So yeah, guys, this is my post review to Bayern Munich versus PSG. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know down below what you guys think of this game and how did you guys see this game going for you, and what are your thoughts on this game. So peace.